Welcome back to Keep It Electric. This is episode 67. I am thrilled to be here with you all after taking a month off for the holidays and the new year. First off, I hope everyone had a fantastic holiday season and a happy new year as we step into 2025 together. A big thank you to those of you who reached out over the past month, whether it was through text messages from friends, DMs on Instagram, comments from listeners. Hearing from you truly warmed my heart and got me even more excited to dive into this space again. Your support and engagement mean the world to me. I can't wait to keep this going throughout 2025. This episode is a special one because it's the first time I'm recording in a new space. I've relocated to a new home. Over the past month, I'm still in Seattle, by the way. Over the past month, I've been relocating and I'm still figuring out the acoustics here, so I'm not really sure how it's going to sound. But with a little editing magic, we should be good to go. As always, your feedback is invaluable, so let me know what you think about the sound quality, if there's any specifics that you'd like to hear more of in the future, anything that I can actually get better at. I'm all ears. But yeah, I'm gonna do some editing and just see how this goes. So this is the first episode in the last 30 days. I'm excited to announce that I'm returning back to the weekly format. With a new episode every Friday until further notice. And, you know, it's tempting to dive into a rant about the Mariners right now because nothing happened in the 30 days that I haven't done an episode. And, you know, it feels like it could be low-hanging fruit. I'm going to try to take an easy route or a less of an easy route as I get back into the flow of this. But I'm really going to try to look at things from a different perspective. Before jumping into Mariner-specific topics, though, I'm going to catch us up on some of the more notable moves around the league recently. First, let's start off with Ha-Seong Kim. You know, and I'm gonna talk about this a couple times throughout this show. We cannot, as Mariners fans, we just really cannot be so engaged in dirt sheets and rumors. I'm gonna kind of take a side quest really quick, but you know, the rumor mill is always going to tie players to the Mariners based off of what the Mariners need right now. But I'm just gonna say this: like, the organization already shared how much money they're playing with or how much money they plan to use. So we should kind of wisen up a little bit, because unless it's coming from Mariners brass themselves that they're going to spend more than $15 to $20 million, don't believe the dirt sheets. Don't waste your time getting invested in it, because if it's not coming from the Mariners organization, it's probably not true. But anyways, Ha-Seong Kim, his salary range seemed like it was actually a possibility for the Mariners to sign him. Speculation immediately turned away from the Mariners. It turned into the possibility of him signing with the Dodgers, and that's exactly what he did. He signed with the Dodgers. So the Dodgers then immediately turned down the possibility of moving away from Gavin Lux, and then here comes a common theme. The Mariners rumors came swooping right in. Whenever a player becomes available who fills the need, they're immediately linked to the Mariners. Unfortunately, these reports rarely come to fruition. So as far as the offseason goes, I think the Mariners are batting 0 for everything. When it comes to these rumors, 0 batting average. So when it came out that the Mariners were supposedly making a play for Gavin Lux, I didn't blink. It didn't make any sense to me. Lux is a great second baseman and a solid player overall, but I also think T-Mobile Park would play too big for him. That said, when you don't have a second baseman on your roster, any option might look appealing. The Dodgers initially claimed they had no interest in moving Lux and framed Kim's signing as more of a luxury move. He'll be a utility guy. But then just a few days later, they traded Lux to the Cincinnati Reds, the Reds who had just recently parted ways with Jonathan India, sending him off to KC. So this was a fantastic move for the Reds, especially with Terry Francona taking over as their manager. They're positioning themselves in a relatively weak division, in my opinion, to make a serious run. I think that they've got a real shot. I picked them to win the NL Central last year, and I might just do it again this season, especially with Francona at the helm. Now, on January 3rd, The Dodgers also signed Teoscar Hernandez. He's returning to them on a 3-year deal worth $66 million. Includes $23 million signing bonus and more than $23 million in deferred money. Interestingly enough, like Teoscar already had about $10 million deferred, if I'm correct, from his previous contract with the Dodgers. So he's essentially double dipping. And honestly, the Mariners not re-signing him, and it's worth noting that he probably didn't want to stay in Seattle either. The Mariners not re-signing him has been the best thing to ever happen to Teoscar's career. In LA, he's protected in a strong lineup. And while he has his struggles, or had his struggles hitting in Seattle, this just goes to show what a difference it makes to surround a player with valuable bats. Teoscar had a remarkable season last year, and largely it was due to the support and placement he had in the Dodgers batting order. Moving on, former Mariner Josh Rojas, he signed a 1-year deal with the Chicago White Sox worth $3.5 million. That's about the same figure he was projected to earn in arbitration with the Mariners before he hit free agency. This is a great deal, like value deal for the White Sox. I mean, they have a long way to go as a team. And honestly, I would expect Rojas to make an immediate impact because the rest of the team sucks. So he's not the type of player he's going to single-handedly make them a playoff contender. But let's be real, like the Mariners could probably still use him right now. So let's get into the current state of affairs with the Seattle Mariners because, again, I could approach this from a super positive angle. For instance, like claiming relief pitcher Hagen Danner from the Blue Jays, like to beef up their bullpen. That's a move that could and maybe should be exciting. His minor league history and strikeout rate jump off the page as a potential fit for the Mariners bullpen. But let's be completely blunt. We don't care. We really don't care. And it's not because we don't care about Hagen Danner. By all means, he could surprise us. He can make the main roster. He's on the 40-man right now. He could become a late inning clutch guy. The real concern is, can he play second base? Can he play third base? Because if you look at the Mariners depth chart, I know I'm not saying anything new here, but Dylan Moore is penciled in all over the place. Specifically, he's listed as the starter at both second and third base. That's a problem. I know I'm not saying anything new, but I'm just pointing it out for anyone who may not be paying attention. The majority of Mariners fans are asking, cool, we got this guy from Toronto, but who is going to play infield? Who's going to field the ball? And it's hard to sugarcoat it because if the Mariners aren't going to make a move, I think it's time for them to own it. This all goes back to the beginning of the offseason when the Mariners brass talked about learning their lessons and then the need to make a splash. Yet here we are, we're sitting on the sidelines while other teams make splashes. It's not that the Mariners don't have a good core. I actually think they have a solid growing core. But the league knows, we know, anyone who's paying any attention to baseball knows how dangerous the Mariners could be. And that's why opposing teams are playing hardball, in my opinion. They know the Mariners need a bat and aren't just going to hand one over. They're going to make the Mariners earn it. Take Luis Castillo, like that is the best example. The Red Sox, the deal with the Red Sox, it sounded like a good trade in theory despite the amount of salary the Red Sox wanted to throw onto the Mariners' books. But like, I don't blame the Red Sox for making it difficult because the Mariners hitting statistically is in shambles. The asking prices for guys like Alex Bohm, they're sky high. So like no team is desperate enough to reward the Mariners for having the best pitching rotation in the league. And I say all that to say that I support the Mariners for not giving away a starting pitcher for a box of cookies. But I would encourage ownership to be upfront. Like, don't say you're going to make a splash and then fail to deliver. If you're truly giving up on the idea of a power hitter, as the Mariners have indicated by saying that they want to adjust their approach to focus more on contact, then perhaps a reunion with Gino Eugenio Suarez is off the table. Maybe they're looking to make a play for someone like Luis Arias. That would actually make sense. Like a few years back, Ichiro himself said that he was his favorite batter in all of Major League Baseball. When the Twins visited the Mariners in 2022, Ichiro made a point to meet him. So if the Mariners are prioritizing contact over power, putting the ball in play more often, then pursuing someone like Luis Arias would align with that strategy. But this goes like beyond doing a disservice to the fan base. It's a disservice to the current roster. The last thing the Mariners should be doing is wasting the prime years of their pitching talent, wasting the prime years of players like Kyle Riley, who is quickly becoming one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball. Like, he deserves to play for a winner. And I don't know the guy personally, but I'm sure he wants to win here in Seattle. However, if the Mariners fail to make a significant move to show that they're committed to competing for championships, they risk losing not only their core players, but also all the momentum that they've built over the last few seasons. It's glaringly obvious that the Angels aren't going to slow down right now. It's obvious that the Dodgers aren't slowing down at all. And even the A's, guys, the A's are spending money. So the entire league has noticed that the Mariners' frugal approach, and frankly, like, they're laughing at it. It's frustrating to see from our point of view, but I really do think the league is laughing at the Mariners' frugality. So, if the Mariners truly have the best or one of the best farm systems in baseball, then it's time for them to use it. If you're not going to trade those top prospects, start the clock. Start the clock on them. Let's see what they can do. Now, just like any sports franchise, like, obviously, my focus here is mainly on the Seattle Mariners. There are takes everywhere. That's true for any sports franchise in America. There are multiple insiders, fans, people with varying perspectives. Personally, I don't like to entertain too much of the outlandish hypotheticals. It just doesn't really feel worth my time. If you're looking for wild theories from me daily, I'm probably going to disappoint you. I'm just going to say that flat out. That said, I will stand on my prediction that the Mariners will have a reunion with Geno. That's my one big prediction. So I'm going to stand by that. And it was a bold one. However, with how long it takes for the Mariners to make moves, I'm not going to rifle off a list of third basemen they could potentially acquire. It feels unrealistic to even speculate it. So go ahead and delete Alex Bregman off your list. Anyone who still has him on your bingo card. With that being said, let's briefly talk about Roki Sasaki. If the Mariners land Sasaki, say goodbye to Luis Castillo. That's obvious, right? In fact, I think if they land Sasaki, they'll move Castillo more aggressively. But right now, moving Castillo would elevate Emerson Hancock right into the 5th spot in the rotation, and Hancock still needs to develop more strikeout ability. Again, I've said this before, he's a solid number 5, maybe even a 3 or 4 on other rosters outside of Seattle or outside of LA. He probably makes as much money as one of their ball boys, but the Mariners' pitching philosophy doesn't seem ready to put him in a role in their rotation just yet. So, talking about Sasaki because we have to, I don't think we're going to land him. The Mariners have a proven track record in pitching development, and if Sasaki wants to elevate his game and become the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, Seattle would be an excellent choice. But if Sasaki wants to win and join a team with a championship culture, he's avoiding Seattle. He is flying straight to LA or New York. It's disappointing because teams like the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, and even the Red Sox are demonstrating their commitment to winning. Outside of Seattle's ability to market itself with elite pitching development and coaching, they're not showing that same urgency to win a championship. I think a great example is Carlos Santana. The guy is veteran-friendly, 39-year-old first baseman. He took less money to not pack up and move to Seattle. How are you going to convince Sasaki to pack his bags and come here? If we sign him, I'll be ecstatic, stoked. I'll be so excited to see him pitch in a Mariners uniform. But realistically, why would Sasaki want to join a team that boasts riches in pitching development but struggles with hitting development? So in closing, I really hope the front office continues to learn valuable lessons. We still have a couple of months to see how this roster will shape up. Let's also be clear, I don't think we're doomed. I actually like this roster. I don't expect any regression when it comes to the bats. Deep down, I believe the front office is probably also happy with the roster. Otherwise, they would have done more by now. So for now, we just have to wait and see. That's going to be it for today's episode of Keep It Electric. As always, thank you for listening. Never be afraid to reach out if you have an opinion. You can find me on Instagram at Keep It Electric. Please take the time to leave a review. It would mean a lot to me. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, keep it electric. Go Mariners.